The invisible wound breathes beneath the surface of apparent normality, a silent narrative of childhood stolen, prematurely transformed into an adult landscape long before its natural time. Imagine childhood not as a period of innocent exploration but as a complex psychological terrain where survival becomes the primary language, where adaptation transforms the most delicate emotional structures into sophisticated mechanisms of protection. Your inner child carries within itself a profound story of unexpected maturity, a journey that transcends ordinary understanding. The mechanisms of psychological survival emerge not as weakness but as extraordinary acts of resilience, where innocence becomes a strategic language of emotional protection. Each moment of premature adulthood carries within it entire universes of unprocessed emotional experiences hidden behind a facade of apparent competence. Childhood is not always a safe territory. For some, it becomes a battlefield where emotional survival requires extraordinary psychological mechanisms. The child who grows up too fast develops an internal architecture of remarkable complexity, transforming vulnerability into a sophisticated language of adaptation. Imagine your younger self not as a passive recipient of experiences but as an active creator of psychological strategies designed to navigate emotional landscapes far beyond chronological expectations. And if these words awaken something inside you right now, allow yourself to respond with a small gesture of presence, maybe a like or a brief reflection. And if you feel that this journey speaks to something deep within you, subscribe so we can continue exploring these inner landscapes together. The unconscious mind operates like an intricate theatrical production where every defense mechanism becomes a carefully choreographed performance of survival. Your premature maturity is not a simple narrative of loss but a complex psychological landscape where adaptation becomes an art form, where emotional protection transforms into an extraordinary capacity for resilience. The guardians of your inner world stand not as barriers but as sophisticated witnesses to a remarkable journey of unexpected psychological growth. Trauma lives not in dramatic moments but in the subtle territories between expectation and survival. The child who grows up too fast carries within themselves an extraordinary sensitivity, an almost supernatural capacity to read emotional landscapes, to understand unspoken narratives, to navigate complex psychological territories with an intuition that defies chronological understanding. Each moment of premature adaptation becomes a profound act of psychological survival. Imagine your inner child as a complex ecosystem where emotional experiences are not simply processed but transformed, transmuted, integrated into sophisticated psychological mechanisms. The boundaries between childhood and adulthood dissolve, revealing a more profound understanding of human resilience. Your premature maturity becomes not a wound but a testament to the extraordinary capacity of human consciousness to adapt, to transform, to survive. Childhood wounds often create the most intricate defense mechanisms. What appears as emotional competence is frequently a masterpiece of psychological engineering, a delicate balance between protection and survival. Your unexpected maturity becomes a symbolic representation of these internal negotiations, a journey where vulnerability transforms into an extraordinary capacity for understanding, navigating complex emotional landscapes. The body remembers what the mind chooses to protect. Subtle physiological responses emerge around memories of premature adaptation, unexpressed tensions that ripple through your nervous system. These are the whispers of unprocessed emotional landscapes, memories that have not found their way into conscious narrative. Your unexpected journey becomes a threshold where the most profound psychological negotiations occur. Psychological survival becomes an art form, a sophisticated language of adaptation where each experience, each moment of premature understanding carries within it entire universes of emotional complexity. The child who grows up too fast develops an extraordinary capacity to witness, to understand, to navigate emotional territories that most adults would find challenging to comprehend. The psychological landscape of premature maturity unfolds like a complex topography, revealing intricate terrains of consciousness that exist beyond ordinary childhood experiences. Your inner world becomes a sophisticated ecosystem where survival mechanisms are not merely defensive strategies but profound languages of emotional adaptation. The boundaries between childhood vulnerability and adult complexity dissolve, creating a unique internal architecture of understanding. Imagine the unconscious mind as a vast underground network where every survival mechanism, every adaptive response, every subtle emotional current flows through intricate channels of psychological perception. Growing up too fast is not a simple act of emotional protection but a profound journey of continuous psychological negotiation. The guardians of your inner world stand as complex witnesses to this extraordinary internal voyage, mapping the most hidden territories of unexpected emotional development. Childhood becomes the initial landscape that shapes this extraordinary capacity for premature understanding. The sensitive child who learned to read emotional landscapes to protect, to survive, to understand the unspoken narratives living between adult interactions develops a psychological mechanism of extraordinary complexity. Each experience becomes a potential gateway to deeper survival, a moment of potential transformation, a reflection that carries within it entire universes of emotional significance. If you feel these insights stirring something within you, share your voice and support this space with a like. These reflections help others find their way through the same shadows. And if you wish to keep walking with us through these deeper layers of the mind, join us by subscribing. Trauma and sensitivity intertwine in the psychological landscape of children who grow up too fast, creating sophisticated mechanisms of emotional protection. What appears as premature maturity becomes a delicate dance between survival and vulnerability, a continuous negotiation between protection and profound insight. The mind transforms painful experiences into extraordinary pathways of comprehension, turning childhood wounds into sources of profound psychological wisdom. The internal architecture of a child who grows up too fast resembles a vast mansion with countless rooms, some brilliantly illuminated, others shrouded in mysterious shadows. Each adaptive response becomes a journey through these internal territories, a continuous exploration that requires extraordinary courage to confront the most complex emotional landscapes. Survival mechanisms move like living entities, breathing, growing, transforming, creating intricate narratives of unexpected psychological development. Consider the body as a living archive storing memories beyond conscious recall. Subtle energetic shifts occur, continuous psychological movements that ripple through the nervous system. These are the echoes of premature adaptation, the unconscious pathways through which unexpected maturity transforms raw childhood experiences into extraordinary understanding. The mind becomes not a simple protective mechanism but a complex ecosystem of continuous psychological negotiation. Psychological defense mechanisms reveal themselves as sophisticated artistic performances, intricate dances of protection and vulnerability. Premature maturity emerges not as a passive survival strategy but as an active creation of meaning, a continuous transformation of childhood experiences into profound understanding. Each moment of adaptation carries within it entire universes of emotional and psychological significance. The unconscious mind operates like a masterful storyteller, weaving complex narratives that transcend ordinary childhood experiences. Your psychological landscape becomes a terrain of extraordinary complexity where every survival mechanism, every adaptive response becomes a profound exploration of human resilience. The boundaries between childhood vulnerability and adult understanding dissolve, revealing a more intricate perception of psychological development. Imagine survival as a living organism with its own breath, its own rhythm, its own extraordinary capacity for transformation. Growing up too fast becomes a continuous journey of psychological discovery, a profound exploration of the most hidden territories of unexpected emotional development. Each adaptive response carries within it the potential for extraordinary understanding, for profound transformation, for a more complex perception of human resilience. Darkness unfolds like a living membrane, revealing the most profound landscapes of psychological complexity. Here in the deepest chambers of consciousness, the true narrative of premature maturity emerges, stripped of protective mechanisms, raw and trembling. The mind becomes a vast internal universe where survival mechanisms are not mere defensive strategies but living, breathing entities pulsing with unimaginable depth of emotional and psychological significance. Imagine pain as a transformative energy inhabiting the most hidden corridors of psychological adaptation. The wounds of unexpected maturity are not static memories but dynamic organisms breathing with unresolved psychological energies waiting to be witnessed, to be understood, to be liberated. Premature growth becomes a profound act of psychological alchemy, transforming raw childhood experiences into extraordinary landscapes of understanding. The body remembers what ordinary perception fails to comprehend. Each moment of unexpected adaptation becomes a symbolic journey, a silent scream echoing through the most intricate territories of human consciousness. The guardians of your inner world stand not as barriers but as witnesses to a remarkable narrative of psychological transformation, of extraordinary resilience, of profound emotional survival. Trauma lives in the spaces between experiences, in the silent territories where language fails, where childhood stories transcend ordinary psychological comprehension. Premature maturity becomes a metaphorical battlefield where unconscious forces wage their most intimate wars. The mechanisms of psychological adaptation reveal themselves as extraordinary acts of human sensitivity, intricate systems designed to penetrate the most hidden layers of emotional survival. The unconscious mind operates like a complex theatrical production where every survival mechanism, every insight carries profound symbolic meaning. Your capacity for unexpected adaptation transforms into a ritualistic performance, a delicate choreography of psychological exploration. The invisible observer within you watches silently, understanding the extraordinary complexity of human resilience, the profound interconnectedness of childhood and adult experiences. Memories do not simply exist, they metamorphose, they transform, they find alternative pathways of psychological expression. Each moment of premature adaptation carries within it layers of unspoken narratives, of extraordinary sensitivity, of unexpressed survival strategies, of silent psychological resilience. The mind becomes a living ecosystem where adaptive responses breathe, grow, transform continuously. Imagine your psychological landscape as a vast internal universe where every emotion, every memory, every unprocessed childhood experience exists as a living organic entity. The territories of unexpected maturity stand not as empty spaces but as chambers filled with intricate psychological energies, complex narratives of human sensitivity, of extraordinary emotional and survival exploration. The walls of this internal landscape are constructed not of stone but of lived experiences, of unspoken survival strategies, of profound psychological understanding. The guardians of your inner world stand as sophisticated witnesses to the extraordinary journey of psychological adaptation. Your capacity for premature growth becomes a profound language, a complex dialogue between vulnerability and survival, between pain and understanding, between the visible and invisible territories of human consciousness. Pain transforms when witnessed, when understood, when explored with extraordinary sensitivity. Unexpected maturity carries within it the most profound narrative of human psychological survival. Each moment of adaptation becomes a testament to the remarkable capacity of human consciousness to penetrate, transform, understand the most complex emotional landscapes. The unconscious does not forget, it merely changes its language of psychological survival. Premature growth becomes a symbolic threshold where the most profound psychological negotiations occur, where the invisible observer within you continues its extraordinary journey of understanding, of continuous psychological transformation, of remarkable human resilience. Here's part 4, focusing on integration, understanding, resolution, and emotional closure. In the final landscape of understanding, something profound emerges, a transformative revelation that illuminates the entire journey of psychological adaptation. Premature maturity reveals itself not as a mere survival mechanism but as a sacred territory of human consciousness, a profound testimony to the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit. What once appeared as unexpected growth now becomes a luminous pathway of profound psychological transformation. The wounds of unexpected maturity do not vanish, they evolve, they transmute, they find their way toward healing through the most unexpected pathways of consciousness. Your capacity for premature adaptation becomes retrospectively a brilliant mechanism of psychological exploration, a sophisticated language of survival that carried within it the seeds of profound transformation. The invisible observer inside you was not simply protecting but was carefully preserving the most delicate aspects of human experience, waiting for the precise moment of profound comprehension. Imagine healing as a gentle awakening, a soft light gradually illuminating the hidden chambers of psychological landscapes. The territories of unexpected growth that once stood as complex, mysterious landscapes now begin to breathe, to expand, to reveal their hidden narratives. Each adaptive response, each unacknowledged emotional insight becomes not a source of pain but a testimony to your extraordinary capacity for psychological understanding, for emotional resilience, for human survival. The unconscious mind operates as a masterful storyteller, rewriting narratives, transforming survival mechanisms into profound wisdom, turning psychological adaptation into a path of deep human understanding. Your journey reveals itself not as a story of emotional loss but as a remarkable exploration of human consciousness, a continuous dance between vulnerability and resilience, between pain and transformation. If you feel that this story helped you see your own inner landscape more clearly, offer a like and share your thoughts. And if you want this space to remain part of your journey ahead, subscribe. Together we continue the path of understanding, healing, and awakening. Every mechanism of premature growth carries within it a profound wisdom and extraordinary intelligence designed to explore the most complex territories of human experience. Your psychological adaptation was never about emotional disconnection but about creating a safe internal landscape where understanding could occur slowly, carefully, profoundly. The journey of survival becomes a symbol of this remarkable psychological exploration, a testament to the human capacity for continuous transformation. The body remembers, the soul understands, and the unconscious continues its intricate work of psychological integration. What appeared as unexpected maturity reveals itself as the most delicate form of human sensitivity, a protective embrace that allowed your inner world to heal, to grow, to understand itself with extraordinary patience and compassion. Each moment of adaptive response becomes a silent prayer, a profound act of psychological exploration. Healing is not about erasing but about understanding, about witnessing, about honoring the extraordinary journey of human consciousness. Your psychological landscape transforms from a terrain of survival into a sacred territory of profound understanding. The guardians of your inner world, who once stood as protective mechanisms, now become witnesses to your remarkable transformation, revealing the extraordinary resilience that has always lived within your capacity for unexpected growth. The most profound revolutions occur not with dramatic emotional gestures but with gentle understanding, with compassionate witnessing, with the recognition of your extraordinary capacity for psychological adaptation. Your journey of premature maturity becomes a universal narrative, a testimony to the human spirit's remarkable ability to transform survival into wisdom, to turn psychological sensitivity into a path of profound spiritual awakening. In this final landscape, everything converges, everything makes sense. The capacity for unexpected growth that once represented potential emotional fragmentation now becomes a celebration of your extraordinary psychological journey, a testament to the profound wisdom of human consciousness, a celebration of sensitivity, transformation, and deep human resilience. If something in these words stirred a truth inside you, don't ignore it. Follow the channel and continue this inner journey with me. You were never meant to walk it alone.